I've got bad news, worse news, and some video games releasing. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, February 27th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, we got some pretty big games launching, and I'm estimating this to be the biggest game of the quarter. I might be proven wrong, but Resident Evil Requiem has launched. It's currently sitting at an 88 Metacritic. At first glance, you might think that it's a tale of two distinct games that are hard to put together, but based on the Metacritic score and some of the reviews I've read and some gameplay I've seen, it's not that big a deal. I know that Grace is more survival horror, nitty gritty, hidey, sneaky, barely shooty. Gameplay is I think the majority of the game, and then you occasionally break those up with some Leon Kennedy kicking zombies and rocket powered action. So sounds like it's kind of taken two different halves of like the Resident Evil coin and put them together. So I also note that 67 or that 88 Metacritic is higher than the previous two Resident Evil games. I went back and looked at the 86 Metacritic score for Resident Evil 7 and the 84 Metacritic score for Resident Evil 8. So this one's seemingly doing better. I think it also does a little bit of like going back to the game's roots, considering we're based in a city. We're running around. I don't know if we're in Raccoon City, but we're running around the city, which is a traditional place to be in for Resident Evil, whereas 7 and 8 were a little bit in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know if that's too big a factor, but it is kind of somewhat returning to Resident Evil's roots. I'm very much looking forward to this. Like I've been saying, I am excited to kind of play it. With me and my wife are going to play where I play the Grace parts, she plays the Leon parts. It should be a fun little playthrough for that. It only lasts like 10 to 12 hours, so it's not too big a time commitment. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Resident Evil games, and I was only a Resident Evil fan since 7 and have gone back and played the remakes, which this game has some of the quality of life improvements that we've gotten in the Resident Evil remakes. So all that kind of adds up to this, close to 90 rated Metacritic game. So I'm looking forward to Resident Evil Requiem, and hopefully you are too. We also got some presents this week. That's Pokemon presents. Pokemon Presents, their showcase, their regular showcase, was dropped this week, where they go through their laundry list of different apps and ways to engage with Pokemon. And give us new content for each of those. They announced the next Pokemon game, not coming till 2027, is Pokemon Winds and Waves. So much like Sword and Shield or Leaf Green and Red, I think those were the remakes, but this is the next kind of mainline Pokemon game. And you're going to be choosing one of two different games, one that is you're based on a flying creature and one based on a watery creature. They also showed us the three starter Pokemon, which is the most important part of any Pokemon game, where you can play as a leaf parrot, a fire dog, or a water lizard. And I will be continuing my streak of exclusively picking water starters because I think the water lizard gecko looks pretty cool. But I assume the internet will be all up in arms. I think the fire dog is at least very cute, so I know a lot of people will be gunning for that dog. We've also got some more information on Pokopia, the upcoming Pokemon cozy game. That looks pretty cool, and apparently it's going to have co-op, so you can have people come and visit your quote-unquote island and play with up to like 3 players running around managing your little Pokemon. So they've at least done that part of Animal Crossing where you can have people, you can show off what you've built using your Pokemon. So that should be pretty fun and exciting. I'm very excited for Pokopia coming up next month. They also ran through, there was a retro music box. Like, it looks like an old, I didn't quite understand it. It looks like an old Game Boy And it has cartridges, but you can play just the sounds of the original like Pokemon soundtracks. They're the really 8-bitty sounding Pokemon. So that was pretty cool, and they ran through all the other stuff. But the main big three things were those: the next Pokemon game, Pokopia, and that kind of retro jukebox looking thing. So lots of stuff coming out for Pokemon. It always surprises me how much there is some different ways to engage with Pokemon there is. Next up, Overwatch. Now that they've garnered some goodwill, they're going to give us a mobile game that is based on Overwatch. It's like they showed like 3 minutes of like Uber Alpha preview kind of stuff, but they just kind of showed us what the game could look like. I think it's called Overwatch Rush. And yeah, you're kind of top down playing your favorite Overwatch characters in a 4v4 kind of map control setting. At least I assume there'll be other game modes and different ways to engage with it. But I think I do have to kind of question the audience for this. Like coordinated, like I read the article talking about it, and they mentioned the word casual several times, and like coordinated multiplayer, objective based games doesn't seem like the most casual. Like doesn't seem like something I'm going to play on a train ride to work, or while I'm trying to like relax for 15 minutes. Like the match seemed short, like they seem like they're gonna have short match times. But yeah, I just think that like I don't know that this engages a very casual audience. If I have to like coordinate 4 people together, like I'm gonna be doing it on like a computer, and like technically you could be like on Discord and your phone playing a video game at the same time, trying to coordinate all that kind of stuff. But just coordinating 4 people, and it, God forbid, it's like randos. Like, am I engaging with them? Like, do I have to voice chat with them, or is there a good ping system? I guess there would be if you're on a phone, but like, am I able to ping? So, pretty curious stuff there. But there is a mobile version of Overwatch coming down the pipe. No time or dates listed yet, but could be interesting. So I'll have a link down below for you to check that out and draw your own conclusions. The next trailer for the next Mortal Kombat movie dropped this week, and it's all about Johnny Cage, and it really seems like that's how they're telling the story of the first Mortal Kombat, is from like Johnny Cage's perspective, which I think is actually very interesting. Johnny Cage being this like washed up actor, and then like all of a sudden he's thrown into this like supernatural fighting tournament. I think is actually a really cool way to engage with it, rather than like from the Liu Kang like born and raised to be the chosen one kind of in the in this like supernatural battle, like telling it from a like human perspective with like Johnny Cage. I think is actually pretty interesting, and just seeing Johnny Cage like be Johnny Cage, or Carl Urban be Johnny Cage, is very fun, and I'm very excited for that. So it was fun to see the latest trailer. I'll have a link down below for you to check that out. Pretty unfortunate news this week. After going back and forth, and the hostile takeover being thrown out there, Netflix has decided to remove themselves from the bidding war with Paramount, and they are not purchasing Warner Brothers at this point. Paramount, raised the price they were willing to pay per share to a point that Netflix was not willing to pay. And that has led to Netflix dropping out of the running. And now everything looks like Paramount is going to be the new parent company for Warner Brothers. So this is all still, pending approval by government agencies and stuff like that, which will probably go through. But pretty unfortunate, considering I don't think David Ellis has very good intentions other than the IP for like the different parts of Warner Brothers. Also like Paramount and HBO, like how's that going to work together? Because they're both major streaming services. It probably won't matter because antitrust doesn't mean very much nowadays. But pretty unfortunate news. I think Netflix would have at least treated Warner Brothers with a little bit of dignity, and I don't think that's what Paramount is ready to do. So we are living in the darkest timeline. And on that, we'll move on to something more sad, less sad. I don't know, depending on your point of view. Late last week, Phil Spencer announced his retirement pretty abruptly. And even more curiously, I don't know if it's second in command or the other person kind of running the ship at Xbox, Sarah Bond, also stepped away following the announcement of the retirement of Phil Spencer, the creator of the greatest deal in video games. Um, both of them will be replaced by Asha Sharma, who has no gaming experience whatsoever and was previously heading up the AI core portion of Microsoft. So having someone who has no gaming experience and wants to bring as much AI into this as possible is probably not the greatest news for Xbox, but pending how you feel about Game Pass and what it's done to games and where the current state of Xbox is, whether or not there will even be future hardware is remains to be seen. But I do think that even given all that positive or negativity related to their track record, Phil Spencer was at least dedicated and wanted games to succeed. And I don't know if someone with extensive AI experience is going to improve the video game arm of Microsoft. So pretty interesting stuff, and we'll see what comes of it up in sometime soon. After skipping the state of play last week, we got a surprise release date announced for Insomniac's Marvel Wolverine game. It'll be releasing September 19th, which is just around the corner, so looking forward to playing their take. I'm still very curious. Spider-Man has a lot of movement mechanics and a stealth option that just don't feel very Wolverine. Now it's going to be brutal and visceral and all the things you would expect from a rated R Wolverine game, but I'm still curious. What does that look like? It's going to look and feel hopefully look and feel a lot different than Spider-Man. So I'm still curious how that's gonna work out, but excited to know that we have a firm release date for Insomniac's Marvel's Wolverine game, September 19th. So looking forward to that. If you're not playing Resident Evil this weekend, you could be playing 2 different Server Slam beta tests for 2 different games, but both Sony owned. Marathon is doing an open beta Server Slam weekend this weekend, as well as Horizon Hunters Gathering, the multiplayer Horizon game with the kind of cutesy art style. Both of those games are running a kind of open beta Server Slam thing this weekend. And if you're not playing Resident Evil, it might be a good time to check out either of those 2 games. Still very curious how my Marathon's going to feel, and a lot of people are a little hesitant with the new direction of the Horizon series, but I think give them both the benefit of the doubt. If play one or the other or both, I'm still very curious, but I will be playing Resident Evil this weekend. I won't have time to check out a Marathon and or Horizon, so I'll be curious to see what everyone else is thinking about it. One of my favorite video game franchises of all time is We Were Here. It's a co-op puzzle kind of escape roomy game that you can play with one other person. I enjoy playing video games with my wife, and that's one of the series that we tend to play together. And yeah, they're coming out with a new one. So I was very excited to find that out. It's called We Were Here Tomorrow. It's now a We Were Here game, which is usually a kind of old style archaic kind of interaction escape room game, and now they're going to take it to the future. So pretty interesting stuff there. I'm excited for We Were Here Tomorrow. Last but not least, I tend to give first looks and these video game adaptations the benefit of the doubt. We got our first look at the God of War TV show coming to Amazon, and something just really seemed off about this image. I think I'm going to attribute most of it to the fact that the Atreus actor looks very young. He looks like 6, which is I think a little too young for what I would. I mean, maybe they're telling a earlier in Atreus's life than the plot of God of War, the God of War Norse games. But yeah, just the kid looks a little young, and the dad looks a little the Kratos actor looks a little dad body. So it something about it just seemed off. I think the attention to detail is great. Like I could recognize like the art style of Kratos as like the Norse. Like it like the production looks like the costuming and all that kind of stuff looks good. He looks, he looks very Kratos. I can't look at him and not see Kratos, but it's just I think maybe it's just the young actor throwing me off. Like I said, I've been enjoying all of these. Like I love the Fallout show. I said good things about the Legend of Zelda movie. I said good things about the Tomb Raider show coming out and Sophie Turner's depiction of Lara Croft. Like this is just the one that just like I'm not gonna like pan it already. I just think this first image looks a little off. I think I'll need like a trailer to kind of really get into it, and just this first one gives me a little bit of the ick. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch to see more great content like this. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!